This is my 1993 Mazda RX7. We picked it up a couple of months ago from, I don't remember what it was in Northern California on the coast, where it had been sitting in a barn for 10 years, waiting for somebody to bring it back to life. And then we finally stumbled across it thanks to one of my subscribers, Kyle, appreciate you, man. And we have been slowly putting this thing back together. It has been an extreme learning curve, but I think tonight is the night that we hear this thing wrapped for the first time. Now we have a very short list of things to do to be able to get this car to run again. And I want to get through them. It's like 5 o'clock. I think I get this thing running by like 9 maybe. On the board, we have one coolant leak to fix, hook up the rest of the boost controller. I need to swap my spark plugs around because I have the leading and the trailing and the trailing and the leading backwards. Put the intake piping on, tighten down one of the power steering pump fittings, add more premix in, I think, figure out why the ignition is being dumb again, and then start. Very short list to be able to get this thing running again, and I just want to get through it. So the first thing we're going to start with, coolant leak, and we'll just go down this list here. So the one spot that it's leaking coolant is off of this Chase Bays AST delete, and it's leaking off the fitting that goes from the radiator hose up to the Chase Bays AST delete. So I had to buy a 20A in wrench. I thought I got it tight all the way last time, apparently not. So we're gonna go ahead, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and pop out the intercooler here, undo this charge pipe, get that out of the way so I can have full access to be able to tighten that thing down as tight as I can possibly get it. So that way it's just not gonna leak anymore. I've already drained the coolant, so let's go ahead and just start getting to town on this thing. Like, fuck, dude. I ended up putting some Teflon tape on the fitting, tightened it literally as much as it'll go. It's a Chase Bays fitting with a Chase Bays product, so it should. Swap to a different style of hose clamp, so we'll see if that makes any type of difference. I'm not gonna sit here and wait for this thing all night, so I'll leave this on here. We've gotten almost all the coolant back into the engine. I'll just let it kind of self-gravity bleed for now. Next up, we gotta jump over to a power steering fitting on the rack and tighten that down, but I had to bring an extra 11/16 inch wrench so I could cut it down and make like a stubby. What was that? Power steering off the list, coolant leak off the list, boost control spark plugs, then everything else looks pretty easy. I know you guys couldn't see down there, but all the coil packs are mounted down below this engine harness, so that wire harness down there. We have these fixed, so I accidentally had the leading on the trailing and the trailing on the leading, so I flipped all those, fixed all that, so now we can cross spark plugs off the list, which means all we have left now is boost controller, put on the compression tube, hook up the boost controller, get the ignition to work, add more premix, start this thing. Now, something I haven't mentioned yet that may inhibit us from starting this tonight and may have to push it out till tomorrow is this fuse box. So this houses the fuel pump relay right here, because last night I came over here, I was working on things, I was trying to get fuel pressure built in this thing and I couldn't get the fuel pumps to prime. So I was searching around the entire car, ended up coming up here to this main fuse box, which mounts upside down up here as per Gretti's instructions. I potted the backside with sealant, I scraped a lot of it out, but this entire fuse box is full of water, which explains why the headlights were doing their pop up and down whole craziness. So I ordered all new relays for this, fuel pump relay, headlight relays. I don't remember what one of these is a radio relay, the other one is AC. So I got all new relays coming for this thing, but for now I can jump the fuel pump relay to just make it run. So I think that should be enough to be able to get this thing started, hopefully. We'll find out. For some reason the car's not cranking over again, so we need to figure, there's just a lot we got to figure out with this thing. So next up, let's go ahead and jump over to the boost controller. We have that mounted right here. I've already got one of the lines kind of ran up here. This one needs to go to one of the ports on the wastegate. I'm gonna have to double check my diagram, and then the other one here tees into 2 more of them down under the car. So let me pull up my diagram. We'll get this thing back up in the air again, get all the boost control lines hooked up and sheathed in some DEI heat sleeve, which that sucks to get over the lines, but we can do it. I already did it once right here. So Let's do a boost controller. Got my fuel pump relay jumped right here, so it's just bypassing the relay, making the fuel pumps run all the time. Got everything in here plugged in, set up. I might, I'll probably, nah, we won't add any more coolant quite yet. More premix in the car. I have cycled the fuel pump on and off quite a few times to mix the premix and the fuel, so I think we should be good there. I tried to kick it over by the key again last night and it didn't want to work, so I don't know if it's going to kick over or not. I just checked all the fuses inside of the car. We are missing some relays, so that may be a contributing factor if it doesn't kick over. I've got the neutral safety switch zip tied in, so in theory, and we have our tune loaded on, so in theory it should kick over and start, or try to start at least. So let's see what happens. Control. We are coming online on the computer. Fuel pump's running. Nothing, dude. The key doesn't do shit. So at this point I was going through trying to find anything that was stopping the car from starting. I was checking relays, I was trying to make sure that all the water was out of the relay box. Eventually all the water did end up coming out, it wasn't the relay box. I did decide to go through and start replacing fuses because they were 30 years old and they were just kind of corroded. What eventually ended up happening was I found it was the security relay was bad, so we bypassed that and that allowed us to turn the car over. Turn it to accessory mode. 2. All right, now keep going. Nice stop. Here we're going through trying to find the base ignition angle or the TDC offset. So we're going back and forth between the Haltech and the car, trying to find where our timing marks are in relevance to the ECU. But this is where things start to go downhill because we don't have any spark. Try again. Stop. All right, you can go ahead and cut the breaker. Trying to figure out what's going on. We have no spark at the moment and we need to figure out why. So I've got my handy helper Melanie here. She has been doing a glorious job. I'm gonna close this a little bit. You wanna grab that jacket, your blanket, thank you. Now I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put the car up in the air and you're gonna sit right there. Now while it's in the air, I'm gonna go under the car with my voltmeter and I'm gonna see if the coil packs are getting 12 volts while cranking. Cool? Sure. All right, I'm gonna send you up. Mel? What? Go ahead, try to start it. Okay. Stop. Drops down to 9 volts. All right, I'm gonna bring you down. Is that all right?
Yeah, do you want me to turn it off?
Yeah, you can go ahead and turn it off. We still weren't getting spark when we were cranking the car over, so I went back up into the engine bay and started tearing everything apart, checking wiring, checking grounds, checking whatever I could think of. Eventually we moved over to trying to check the crank position sensor and the home sensor. Well, I guess in this case they're both crank position sensors, with one of them being a reference, and to my surprise everything still looked good. So at this point, I kept scratching my head. We were going back and forth. I kept going back up into the engine bay, coming back into the car to tear things apart. Eventually we found it. There were a couple boxes checked off in the Haltech that shouldn't have been checked that were stopping the car from sparking. The Haltech thought that there was a Haltech relay box when there actually wasn't. Oh, we're getting light now. Yay. All right, now we're getting spark, so that's good. That's a good sign.
Really
right there. So we are in line on our timing mark to that. So I'm actually gonna unlock ignition timing now.
There's a second.
Yeah, it's on there every time.
And then I think we caught one more, but it like barely caught it. Yeah, but there it is.
Yeah, I saw it. It's like right in line. So now, in theory, it should hopefully start. sound loud?
Oh yeah.
Holy shit! I'm obviously stoked. It starts. So it smokes quite a bit. So I'm gonna push the RX-7 kind of halfway out of the shop, get the fan running so that way the smoke kind of blows out. Just let it run for a couple of minutes to get some of that premix in there, get some fuel in there, let things kind of seat in a little bit. Let it get up to operating temp, try to burp the cooling system a little bit, have the fan running. So we're gonna let it run for maybe 10 minutes. I'm gonna monitor everything on the Haltech just to make sure that everything is minty, like tits minty and whatnot. So, woo, let me get it pushed out and try to start this thing good. Minty?
Interesting phrase.
Tits minty?
I've never heard that before.
I just made it up. Do you like it?
No, not really.
You don't like tits minty? Okay. What about minty tits?
It's better. I
That's better. If it gets too smoky, it's safe for its pineapple. So I'm pretty excited that it runs. I'm not gonna turn it on again because we have a handful of leaks underneath the car, and I mean a handful of leaks. I'm pretty sure they're all oil leaks too, which is a little bit annoying. So yeah, obviously I don't want to keep running it with massive oil leaks because that's just it's gonna damage the motor. I can see a lot of smoke coming out of the downpipe turbo connection, so we're gonna have to tighten that up a little bit. Not a big deal. We need to build a downpipe for it. We need to start permanently putting a lot of the stuff on there. I just didn't want to keep buying stuff for the RX-7 not knowing if it was going to work or not. And now that I know it works, I'll keep buying stuff for it. Dude, it sounds wild. I took a couple of clips on my phone. So I have a customer coming over to the shop here in like 20 minutes, so I need to get the RX-7 pushed out anyways and whatnot. But dude, I'm hyped. It works. Like I built a rotary. I've never built a rotary engine. I built a rotary engine and it works. So I'm big hyped on that. So let me show you these oil leaks real quick because they're pretty gnarly. We got a big leak there. We got another leak back there. We got two smaller leaks right there. So this thing is just puking oil out of the bottom side of it. It could be power steering fluid right there also. I'm not entirely sure. So, you know, there's a lot of possible leaks down here. Like I said, I got a customer car showing up soon, so we'll get this thing back on the rack later. Ooh, so zoomed in. So I just got done doing valve covers on a customer car. I'm gonna go ahead, start the RX-7, pull it into the shop. I know I'm not supposed to start these things and shut them off immediately. This is gonna be like the last time I start the RX-7 until I order some parts for it. I'm gonna get an aftermarket oil pan because I'm fairly certain that's what's leaking so much on the bottom of the car. We're gonna toss back up in the lift, and before we push the 07 STI in here, we're gonna take a look at it just to see. But I need to know what's leaking so I can figure out, so I know what I need to order to fix it. You know what I'm saying? So let me get this thing started up and let's pull it in. I'll shoot a video on my phone too. I don't have my GoPro with me because I didn't know if it would start today or not. So we get a little video on my phone of pulling it in also. I don't want to let it run too long because I don't want to lose a whole bunch of oil, but kind of gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. I don't wanna, oh yeah. I don't wanna give it too many beans right now. Like I said, we got an oil leak. I need to get that fixed. I'm gonna let it chill for a second because I'm so fucking excited for this thing. So I got the RX-7 up in the air. I was curious on where the oil leaks were coming from. It doesn't look crazy bad. We have one off the front cover going to this thermostatic switch right up there, which I had a feeling that one was going to leak. The oil pan is also another one that is leaking. I have resealed this oil pan 3 times and it continues to leak every single time. So at this point, I'm gonna buy an aftermarket pan, whether it be Moroso or someone else. I don't care. They make some that are O-ringed and the O-ring ones seem to work a hell of a lot better. O-ring and sealant on both of these. Unfortunately, my Cerakote is already failing on the downpipe, which is weird because I bead blasted the whole thing, but whatever. Looks like it just didn't want to take it, so it's not a big deal. Transmission seems to be leaking also. I'm not quite sure where it's leaking out of the transmission, but it's all over the backside. On the bright side, we have no leaks coming out of the bell housing between the engine and the transmission, so that is a positive, which means that all of the seals on the rear of the engine are sealing properly, which was my biggest worry, so I'm excited for that. So while the RX-7 may start and run now, it's going to take backseat for a little while until I order more parts for it. Obviously, I need an oil pan. I think I'm gonna order a Haltech IC7 digital display for it. There's a whole bunch of seals and some other random like body stuff that I need. It gets expensive, so I'm gonna order just a handful of FD stuff over the next couple of weeks. That customer car that I did today will probably be going towards the RX-7, but I didn't want to spend more money on the RX-7 until I knew it worked, and I knew it was at a point where we could figure out if it worked or not. So now that we verified that the RX-7 does indeed start and run, we're gonna get the rest of the stuff ordered for it. That's gonna be like the Ganador style mirrors, everything else I need to finish the car. I just didn't want to dump more money into it if I didn't know if it was gonna work, so I'm hugely excited. I built a fucking rotary and it works. Like, I build Subarus all the time and people say that like EJs are hard to build and like Subarus are hard to build. Bro, that was, in my opinion, going through that as my first time building a rotary, I found it extremely, I don't want to say difficult, but it was challenging. But dude, I'm just fucking excited it works. I want more. I want another one. I want an FC now. I'm getting off track, so I'm gonna jet out of here, guys. My back hurts from working on the RX-7, working on the customer stuff all day, so I'm gonna jet out. But if you're hyped that the RX-7 runs and drives as well, hit that like button. If you wanna see more on the RX-7 stuff, you wanna see it go to the dyno, and I don't know how much power it's gonna make. It sounds fucking gnarly though, so I don't know. I don't know a lot. Like I said, I don't know a lot about these. I'm just kind of learning as I go, so. If you want to see more of it, hit that subscribe button. I'll put it in one of these corners. No idea which one quite yet. But with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies.